right, officially starting the presentation. Thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate your attention. We are Team 4. My name is Pavan Rai, and these are my teammates.
I'm Josh Rivera.
My name is Alyssa Ramos.
This is Zach.
My name is George Tracy.
All right, so since we're Team 4, we're going to be doing Chapter 4. Now, if you've read the chapter already, this should be a good recap. And our presentation title, as you can see, 5 Pillars of Crafting Your Online Presence. And it's a training session on crafting your content. So, like I said, online presence, our content is primarily about different social media platforms, and in the backdrop of those platforms, we'll be giving you examples and stuff like that. But just remember that whatever we're saying here, our message can be applied to in-person conversations, presentations, or offline content, just as it can be done online, right? So, like we said, keep your phones handy. We have a quick activity for you, so take out your phones, just Google yourself quickly. We'll give you a minute. So just Google yourself, and things that you want to look for are impacts on your reputation. Like I said, imagery or stuff like that you may have posted, your contact information that might be out there that you don't want to be out there, and previously published content like your research reports or presentations. And it'll work best if you're signed out of your Google account. So take a minute and share it with us whenever, in about a minute or so.
Enabling incognito mode will also
maybe try an
provide the best results.
incognito window.
Yeah, this is a good little exercise to kind of understand what we'll be talking about later on. Whoever's done first can just share. Yeah.
I saw my LinkedIn, some sports photos.
Sports photos from
my
your past.
school.
Yeah. Did you know they were out there?
No.
Great. Okay. That's good. Something you learn about. Anyone else?
There's a lot of the actor with the same name as me.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The author.
The author
Yeah,
name.
have a
Okay.
singer who's
Yeah.
singing.
In that case, if you're doing it, on your own time sometime, just go like where you work or UTD or something like that, so maybe more narrow searches. But yeah, that's interesting. I have a pretty unique name, so I never had that, but that's true. All right. Okay, so now that we've kind of had a chance to do that, I see some faces. You guys are smiling and kind of looking at your phone. That's good. I'm glad you're able to do that. So keep in mind whatever you guys saw, and that is exactly your online presence, right? So we're going to teach you or talk to you about a few ways you can craft that to a greater order of magnitude, right? And that's our agenda, as you can see on the screen. So we just did a quick activity, and our agenda is about 5 different pillars, all right? So I'll be talking about the first one. My colleagues will be talking about the rest of you. So I'm going to be talking about exploring and organizing your content strategy, understanding your audience and objectives, designing your content delivery, preparing and crafting responses, and managing unique situations, right? And then we'll have a key activity towards the end, which you guys got papers in front of you and stuff like that. So we'll utilize that towards the end. So, and like I said, just as applicable to in-person content. So, next slide. Now you see some terminology behind it, right? So some of these icons you may have already seen. The first one I'll talk about, and follow these as like our schema. So these are the 4 themes that we're going to be talking about, right? The first icon, which looks like an Insta-save icon if you're on Instagram, right? And that will be kind of to denote why it's significant. So we'll talk about the pillar and why it's significant. The next one is like a green heart. That's our do's or swipe rights. If you like something, you swipe right on it, on a certain app. The don'ts would be swipe lefts and things to avoid, basically, like it sounds, and an example. So that'll be either a personal story or a video example that we'll share. So think of these as like our legend, right? Now let's finally get into the first pillar, which I will talk about. Quickly here. So this is called organizing and exploring your content strategy. Now, before you can have really any content, right? Before you can have a presentation, you need content, right? So think about it as bricks that you lay, and then you build and build. And without that, you really don't have a presentation. So, and the first part is exploring those bricks and organizing them and laying them into a form where you can actually present. So why is this significant? Like I just mentioned, right? So take a look at this quote. I'm not going to read it out loud because it's in front of you, but think about some of the quote. Think about that quote a little bit and listen to what I'm saying. So, why is it important? It forms a foundation to gain expert level command. So when you're talking about something, it usually helps to really have some sort of command on it more than the audience does, right? Even if it's a tell presentation or a sell. So you really want to have that expert level command. And it emphasizes focus on key ideas and and arranging it in a cohesive structure, like I said. So the way you're thinking about it and the way you're presenting it, that's how your audience is going to comprehend it. And lastly, it provides tools and techniques necessary to effectively convey your message. So those are the things that are really important as you think about. So think about like a pre-production phase of your presentation itself. So finally, the do's and don'ts, our second part. Some of the things to think about here. So what you want to swipe right on or think about that you want to do actively when you're preparing your presentation is align your strategic direction of the presentation and your content with your professional goals. Now, I'll be talking about YouTube in a second and providing you an example. So when you think about that, what exactly are your goals? Where do you want to be in life in 10, 15 years? And kind of reverse engineer your professional goals and think about what your reputation needs to be in order to get that done. So think about that firstly. And collect your information and generate ideas. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? I mean, once you've decided where you want to be, think about what it takes to get there and what all different information sources that you need. So organizing that and focus on the ideas right now. Each piece of presentation starts with an idea, so that's what you need to think about and organize it. And the way you're going to organize it is utilize data dump strategies like Russell and Munter talk about in our book. And an example of that you have in front of you, which is a concept map, right, a mind map, where you start with one, an idea, a phrase, or even a picture or something like that, and those branches that kind of, or clouds that you see in front of you will branch out of it. You'll kind of have another word or phrase that kind of branches out of it so that you have a complete picture in front of you. So I mean, obviously it sounds pretty straightforward, but it's really, really important when you're presenting. So the swipe lefts, so the things that you don't want to do, right? You don't want to ignore the potential of effective content strategy. This is your direction. If you ignore what direction you're going in, you're going to hit a roadblock or you're going to injure yourself. Think about it that way, right? You're really going to be lost and you're not going to know where exactly you're going with your content strategy. And like I just mentioned, tools that you have in front of you, like the concept map, you don't want to reject those, so appropriate data dump strategies. You can have all information. We have, basically we have so many databases, so many, access to information that we can get lost, right? You really want to know how to filter those and know what's important to you and apply those, right? And like I said, don't deter from content or presentation objectives. So your objective is really to convey yourself on a certain social media method, platform, or just in person as well. So, and that's what the audience is there to listen, right? So you're really doing yourself a disservice if you really go away from that presentation objective. You're not respecting yourself as a business leader and their time, because that's what they're there to listen to you for. So these are things you want to keep in mind. The next slide is my example slide, so sharing an example with you guys here. The three takeaways I want to say, right? So this guy, does anyone know who it is? Anyone? No? Okay, well, I'll tell you, this is a YouTuber, a famous YouTuber. His name is Ryan Serhant. He's a commercial real estate broker from New York City, and he owns a media company as well. So, and he has a YouTube channel, right? And he's a pretty accomplished guy, so he likes to make videos talking about some of the things that have helped him in his career and his day-to-day. So think about, like, if you're in a technical field, you can create YouTube videos about your technical skills and stuff like that, right? And then that's just another piece of content that when you Google yourself, you will find, and that'll really help you get that other job or get that partnership, get that deal, whatever. It will help you if you try to teach other people what you already know using YouTube. So, and you want to link that information to the audience. Now, Melissa's going to talk a little bit more about this, but you have to have a benefit statement, right? So that is linking that to the audience. Consider solution-based scenarios. Now, some of the videos you'll see here, one success pressure. So like, these are the things that he's providing a solution to in his own way, and that's really good. And since this is YouTube that I'm talking about, and even the fact that our attention spans are really decreasing, right? The average is like 10 seconds, 5 seconds. I don't even know what it is. You want to nutshell the information and get the attention and effectively convey your point in a short amount of time, right? So I have a little video here that I'd like to place. Go to 1 minute whenever you do that.
Right, you get home, you watch negotiating. People say the art of negotiating, and I like that. I think there is an art to it. It's a craft. The reason I did the negotiating training this morning in the office, and the reason I spent all of January in our separate team meetings talking about negotiating is because it's the one area of the deal where people need me the most. And they need me the most, they think, because I have the most confidence. And the confidence that I have going to the deal comes from experience, and it comes from, honestly, from practice, practice, practice. Because no matter what you're selling something to two different people. You've got a seller and a buyer. And in every negotiation, you've got price, you've got pressure, and you've got persistence. Those are the 3 Ps. Remember that. This can be it.
So, like what I said, not showing information, using repetition, that's what he's doing for his personal brand via YouTube, and that's just like a minute of what you can do as you progress in your career. So that was my first part
Nice
of the
little
pre-production
instruction.
process. Now I will hand it off to Alyssa to talk about this second one.
Thank you, Pavan. How many people in here have a LinkedIn account? Oh, wow. Great, that's awesome, so do I. Having a LinkedIn account can really help you network and represent yourself professionally to the right people. Would anyone like to share one benefit that they get from having a LinkedIn account?
Just being connected to my network.
Yeah, awesome, I think so too. Thank you for sharing that. So now I'll jump right into the next pillar, understanding your audience and content objectives and how it relates to creating a LinkedIn profile. So, isn't creating a LinkedIn profile kind of like creating a presentation? Only in social media, it's like creating a presentation of yourself. Here are a few reasons why understanding your audience and content objectives is crucial to any type of presentation. So, developing effective communication. Why would we want to be effective in our communication? Having effective communication can really help show your passion and connect with the audience better. Next, it helps you to generate a more strategic outlook. Again, why would we want to have strategy in creating our social media? Having a strategy can better help us plan a well-organized social media platform. And then we want to clarify presentation objectives. It is important to be clear in what we want our audience to get out of viewing our content or our presentation. Justify what presentation style you're going to use. Is it a tell or a sell? Is your presentation profile telling people about yourself or a specific topic, or is it trying to sell something? These are some things to keep in mind while I discuss the next few slides. All right, so here are some concepts you might want to swipe right on when crafting your content into your presentation. First, recognize target demographics. Branch out all demographic relatable ideas. And what I mean by this is who's looking at your platform? What's getting people's attention? Then resynthesize the ideas that give you the most positive feedback. Always build on the positive. Do what people like. Next, show them a benefit statement. Now, what I mean by this is, what does your audience get out of viewing your content? What added value are they getting? Next, identify audience psychographic information. So to do this, you can distinguish commonalities in your audience. What type of personalities, values, attitudes, or opinions and interests may audiences might have? Next, acknowledge the differences in your audience. Be mindful to all types of people that you might connect with on your page. And then you can begin to tailor ideas with still being genuine. You want to appeal to all types of audiences. And lastly, incorporate image, mission, values, and vision into your content. Be clear when you incorporate your image. What is your vision or your purpose, and is it well defined? Include your mission and moral values. What does your page say about you? And then provide a synopsis of your vision and self-worth. Does your page tell a story of where you've been, where you are, and where you want to be? And does it provide evidence of that? All right, so moving on. Next, we're going to talk about some swipe lefts. So remember, don't connect the topic without connecting to the strategy. Always try and link the information to the audience. And don't create just a single approach to exploring new ideas. Always explore different types of stories. Acknowledge solution-based scenarios like benefit statement. And remember, don't go without a presentation objective. Again, this helps with clarification of what you want your audience to think, feel, or do. All right, so if you really want to know and grow your audience, here's some things you can do to enhance your presentation of your LinkedIn profile. According to LinkedIn, determining your content trending with your target audience. What I mean by this is go to your LinkedIn page and look at the trending content for the last seven days. What are your connections looking at? What is your audience interested in? Next, you want to customize your targeting to improve your results. Once you've identified popular content, you can start to target specific audiences and with what you know. And last but not least, create brand awareness with the content that you put into your profile. You want to put in the things that highlight specific things about you. Remember to put all organizations, professional, school-related, fraternities that you're a part of, places you volunteered. This will help the audience develop an image of you. And I just want to take a minute to tell you that I'm a personal testimony of LinkedIn. I didn't really appreciate it until I came here to UTD. The professionalism and the networking that I've attained from this platform are really amazing. I've gotten job offers, and I've also found my internship through LinkedIn. Remember guys, your network is your net worth. Now we'll watch a short video on a word from Anthony Mianowski on personal branding.
Whether you call it personal branding or reputation building or discovering your voice, it's clear that the concept of personal branding is growing rapidly as an interest to people all over the world. These days, people want to actively build their personal brands rather than have them dictated by their circumstances or their job titles or their backgrounds. To do this, they want to find the right digital platforms. And they often look toward the popular people who tend to be on every platform available. But what's right for some individuals isn't necessarily right for you. Unless you have a Gary Vaynerchuk team of filmographers and editors and producers, building your digital presence should be limited to only a few key platforms. And one of those should definitely be LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a staple, but you cannot just build a profile and ignore the community. You need to read LinkedIn articles, make comments on those articles, share solid content with your connections, write personal notes of appreciation and congratulations, and even publish some of your own content there. Just be careful to avoid the trap of procrastination caused by perfectionism. In the words of Seth Godin, you need to ship it even when it's not perfect. But most of all, to build your brand on LinkedIn, you need to be active so that people will see you and get to know who you are, and not just view your profile information. Otherwise, it's like creating the perfect resume and leaving it on your flash drive for no one to see. Do people even use these anymore? I'm Anthony Miyazaki.
All right guys, well thanks for listening, and now I'm going to pass it off to Zach to present the third pillar.
Videos.
Mine is design content delivery. Figuring out how to deliver information effectively is important when it comes to reaching your target audience. Being able to do this can greatly impact who reads your content and keeps them from leaving. Some other advantages to effective delivery include the establishment of credibility and consistency with the audience. This is important so that viewers trust the content and creates positive expectations that content will be delivered timely. Lastly, it also introduces the need for consumer-centric content and ultimately boosts engagement. Figuring out a way to deliver content so that it attracts engagement is critical for success of a presentation. The first do is to distribute content effectively and efficiently. Your audience or viewers on Instagram want clear and concise content that they can access easily. This is important to do because on Instagram, you are limited greatly to mostly pictures and captions. For example, the caption has a 2,000 character limit, and the only first couple lines show at a glance. It is important that the most critical information is on the top so your audience can see it. The next do is to create relevant content and release a consistent flow of information. Releasing content on a schedule is a must, but one thing to watch out for is quality versus quantity. Creating content on a schedule will help create reliability and will make consumers of the content to expect it regularly. The last do is to reassess for improvement. This is especially important because a certain strategy for delivering content does not work. It should change. For example, if the Instagram post isn't getting enough likes, then you should innovate and create something that works. The first don't is don't post your content without knowing the purpose or intention. Just like in a presentation, you don't want to talk about information that does not go with your content. This will lead to confusion in the audience and to unfollows on Instagram. Instead, keywords should be used, and if they aren't important, don't have them. The next don't is hiding your most important information. This is critical because if there's too much fluff in a presentation or Instagram page, the audience tends to become bored. As mentioned earlier, there is a 2,000 character limit to an Instagram post. You want the headline to be seen, and the use of keywords is an excellent way to keep the audience focused. The final don't is to become too complacent. This is dangerous. This will appear to the audience as stale content, and they might lose interest in the presentation or Instagram page. Instead, try and innovate with new content and experiment as much as you can, because this is what makes the content unique and ahead of the game. And then for the first example, we look at a post by Intel. That's this one right there. Right off the bat, you can tell that there really isn't any information about Intel. There seems to be no purpose or intention except for motivation. They don't tie it back to helping Intel sell products. Instead, they should only post if they know the intent and show important information within it. The second example is Intel's Instagram page. It's right here. This is also a great example of a chaotic page that doesn't release relevant content and could reassess for improvement. If this is a page that someone might run across randomly, not knowing what the company Intel was, they might not know if it was a microprocessor company. Lastly, McDonald's one is a positive example on what to do with content delivery. You can tell that this page is for McDonald's. For example, they are very concise and don't post anything not pertaining to their food. They also post regularly, and the most important information in the post so the audience can tell what it is about. Now we're going to look into a short video and to elaborate more.
I got it. Hold on. Okay. Let's take a look at this quick video. Now, since we talked about Instagram, if you've heard of Quick Take by Bloomberg, so think about this video, right? I mean, there's no sound, and obviously a lot of us, whenever we're on Instagram, there's no sound. We usually have the sound off. So this video is a good example because there's text, there's pretty images that we can link the two as well. So you really want to think about what medium you're on and the way you're communicating. So this would be effective, if you're traveling, you just pick up the phone. Okay, you see somebody's content, you like it, but it doesn't necessarily have too many words or too many vocals. Just a really quick example, talking about designing your content delivery.
And now to George.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for teaching us about designing content delivery. So, now we're going to talk about preparing and crafting your response. If you've ever used Twitter, you know how complex and critical engaging with your audience can be. However, engagement can greatly enhance the value of your presentation, or it could, failing to adequately appreciate your audience or addressing what's important to them can cause you to lose them and completely undermine their faith in you and your presentation as a whole. So now we're going to get into why it's significant. Before you ever give your presentation, or before you hit send on that tweet, you need to anticipate and prepare for what sort of responses you will receive and the manner in which you'll receive them. And this goes down to engaging your audience begins with preparation. People want their thoughts and opinions to be valued. Be sure you listen actively to their questions or comments. Place importance on each and every question as it's posed to you. Listening with care shows that you are also engaged. Your presentation hinges on the Q&A. No matter how well you present, you must react to questions in an effective manner. Respond properly to all questions that are fielded. And this goes down to responding effectively enhances your overall impression. Presentation. The do's and the don'ts, the swipe lefts and swipe rights. First, you want to select your words with a pragmatic approach. Your word choice is critical to the effect that you have on your audience. Be sure you choose your words carefully when you are responding to a question. Welcome questions with minimal encouragers. This comes down to valuing questions. It is important that your audience understands that you place a great importance on each question. Welcome their questions with minimal encourages, such as gently nodding, tilting your head in interest, slight widening of the eyes, smiling, or saying, yeah. This will feel like you're actually listening to them, like you're having a conversation as opposed to just a back and forth. Address and be mindful of the audience emotions. You can all see around whenever people are engaging with you or they just are tuned out. Place a premium on ensuring a positive response from your audience. A good presenter takes stock of the emotions of the audience and its questions and validates them while trying to find an effective way to address them. Now let's get to the don'ts, because there's a lot of them. Don't ever abuse or undermine your audience. Nobody wants to be insulted. Be sure to answer a question without demeaning or invalidating the questioner. Don't ever ramble or provide unclear answers. Nobody likes a rambler. A question that doesn't quickly provide a clear answer leads to a confusion not only within the question asker, but also the audience as a whole. It's critical that one tries to answer a question in a way that doesn't lead to a long-winded answer. Don't interrupt audience asking questions. Nobody likes to be interrupted. Make sure to allow those asking questions to complete their query in its entirety. This helps yourself as well. You're better able to comprehend what it is they're actually asking. So now we're going to talk about some examples. And before I get into the actual post, I'm going to set it up a little bit with some background information. So you want to listen carefully and wholly address audience questions. Be sure to address each and every concern of the questions you receive. If you're negligent in this respect, it's possible you may turn your audience against you. Encourage audience participation. Bringing your audience together leads to a sum greater than its constituent parts. Don't underestimate the value of accepting questions from all sides, even questions you might not want to hear. Both you and your audience might learn something from dissimilar views. And then respond cohesively and effectively. Your presentation will be judged on the way you respond to challenges. Therefore, it is important that you respond in a way that everyone that hears you understands precisely it is what you're saying. That might mean taking a second to kind of think about it and totally evaluate what it is the question is. Remember that it's more important that you answer well than answer quickly. So let's just talk about these examples right now. So JP Morgan you can see from the dates in 2013, this is well into the Great Recession, and people aren't very happy with bankers at this time. And they chose to use Twitter as a way of engaging with their audience, and they didn't really anticipate that the audience was going to be hostile. And they very quickly shut it down, and you get very confrontational questions that aren't answered, like, what's it like working with Mexican drug cartels? Do they tip? Can I have my house back? They didn't adequately prepare for their audience. On the other hand, we have Lego, who really knows about building audience engagement in a wholesome way. Even adults get sucked in and engaged in building activities. Truly rebuilds the world. People share their experiences. Lego wins, people win. It's a great situation. So now we have a video on kind of Twitter and just presentation as a whole.
I'm a big fan of Wendy's. Big fan. They're savage. Do you know what it really means to be a savage on social media? Really. Savage. The reason why I like Wendy's is because they don't give any Fs. They don't hold any punches. They make social media fun. You look at when IHOP, International House of Pancakes, renamed themselves as a publicity stunt from IHOP to IHOB for International House of Burgers. Look what Wendy's did. They swooped in. They trend-jacked. Can't wait to try a burger from the place that decided pancakes were too hard. Ouch! And look at the results. Look at the retweets. Look at the likes. That's data. But beyond that data is also showing the principal belief that you have to be perceived as being real, which is challenging when you are engaging as a logo. All
right, so as you see, it's not all just about being nice, it's about being authentic. So Wendy's is a prime example about engaging with their audience in a way that people appreciate. So, at that, we are going to go on
Typically, I'll just go.
to our key activity, which Alyssa and I will be presenting. So, it's time for a pop quiz. Sorry. Flip around your papers. We've talked a lot about how social media profiles make up your online footprint, which means your professional online portfolio is the cornerstone. We'll take around 5 minutes to take this pop quiz. Alyssa and I will be walking around monitoring your progress and answer any questions you might have. All right? We'll take about 5 minutes.
Yeah, so think about what all you've learned and why.
Whoever gets done first can have a cookie.
Or last, I mean, we have last.
Don't tell them that. No, don't tell them that. There's only 3.
Get that sugar rush. Be excited.
Whoever gets it first.
Guys, seriously, if you have any questions on the questions, don't be afraid to ask.
So our pop is due next week, guys, so really, take into consideration some things that, you could apply to your online portfolio.
All right, I will leave these like over here. Enjoy.
Late, I want some sugar. Whole thing. Yes, of course you do. Oh, happy St. Patty's Day month. Would you like one?
No, thank you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, so take about 30 more seconds, wrap everything up.